Chicago Bears are heading into Sunday with a mission, and there's absolutely no room for error. This matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders could be a turning point in the season for both teams, who are currently coming in with a record de uma vitória e duas derrotas. But for Chicago, the key to tipping the scales in their favor doesn't just rest in Justin Fields' hands. It's going to come down to shutting down one name, Ashton Gentry. Now let's get real here. Through 3 games, Ashton Gentry hasn't exactly been lighting up the stat sheet. He's sitting at just over 140 yards on the ground with a single touchdown and a modest 3.1 yards per carry average. Nothing too scary on the surface. But don't be fooled. This is exactly the type of game where a guy like Gentry could come alive, and the Bears cannot let that happen. Dig a little deeper into the numbers, and it gets even more interesting. Gentry currently ranks 3rd worst in the entire NFL in a stat called rushing yards over expected, a metric that basically tells you how much a running back is either outperforming or underperforming what's expected from him based on the play design, the defense, the field position, and all the situational context. Gentry is sitting at minus 53 in that category. That means he's left over 50 yards on the field that he should have had based on the setup. Compare that with someone like Jonathan Taylor, who's plus 61, or David Montgomery, who's leading the league with over 100 yards over expected, and it shows just how much Gentry has struggled to maximize his touches. But here's where things get tricky. Just because a guy has bad metrics doesn't mean he's not dangerous. And Bears head coach Ben Johnson knows it. When asked about Gentry, Johnson didn't hold back the praise. Called him a phenomenal player, a hard guy to bring down, and someone who plays violently. And honestly, if you've watched the tape, there's no arguing that. The guy runs with power, has solid contact balance, and he doesn't shy away from contact. The numbers might say he's off to a slow start, but the threat he brings is real, and the Bears better be ready. Now here's the problem. If there's one area where Chicago's defense has struggled this year, it's been stopping the run. Through 3 games, they've given up nearly 140 rushing yards per game. That's 26th in the NFL. Even worse, they're allowing a staggering 5.5 yards per carry, which is 2nd worst in the league. So let's do some quick math here. Gentry's averaging just over 3 yards per carry, but he's going up against a defense giving up nearly double that. That's a red flag. This is exactly the kind of matchup that could be the perfect storm for a breakout game. If the Raiders decide to pound the rock and lean into the Bears' biggest weakness, it's not hard to imagine Gentry finding his groove and suddenly posting the kind of performance that shifts the momentum, not just in this game, but in his season. There's even more to consider. Despite his struggles, Gentry has already proven to be an elite back after contact. In fact, get this, he has more yards after contact than total rushing yards. That's right. 145 of his 144 total rushing yards have come after contact. That's over 100% of his yardage coming when he's already been touched by a defender. What does that tell you? It means he's getting hit early, often behind the line, but still managing to fight forward and salvage something. That's a scary trait if you're a defense that's missing tackles or failing to wrap up. So if you're Chicago, it starts up front. The defensive line has to control the line of scrimmage. You cannot let this guy build confidence, because once he gets going, once he starts lowering his shoulder and breaking tackles, it gets harder to stop him. It's not about keeping him under 100 yards. It's about keeping him under control. Keep him under 4 yards per carry, and you're giving your team a real shot. Now part of Gentry's early struggles definitely fall on the offensive line. They haven't exactly been creating massive lanes for him. Outside of Colton Miller, most of the guys up front haven't been great. You look at some of the names, Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith, Alex Kappa, Jackson Powers-Johnson. None of them are grading out well in run blocking. Even when Cap has been in there at right guard, the consistency just hasn't been there. It's a group that's still trying to find rhythm, and Gentry's been paying the price for that. But again, that's exactly why this game is dangerous, because struggling units eventually click. And if Sunday is the day this Raiders offensive line finally starts to gel, and Gentry finally finds some daylight, it could spell big trouble for a Bears defense that's already on its heels. And this is where it ties into the bigger picture. If you can shut Gentry down early, You force the Raiders into more predictable second and third and long situations. And that puts the ball in Geno Smith's hands. Now, Geno is no slouch. He's got the arm, the experience, and he's not afraid to take shots downfield. But he's also shown a tendency to force throws under pressure. Already this season, he's thrown 4 interceptions in just 3 games, and some of those have been in critical moments. You keep the Raiders behind the chains, you can bait Geno into those dangerous throws. And Chicago just proved last week that they know how to capitalize. 4 takeaways against the Cowboys, including a huge one by Tremaine Edmonds, and that kind of defensive opportunism is going to be key again this week. Because here's the bottom line. Gentry is the engine that could get this Raiders offense humming. If he gets going, it opens up everything. Play action starts working. The pass rush slows down. Geno gets more comfortable. But if you keep Gentry in check, force long third downs, and make Geno beat you with his arm in tough spots, then you've got the upper hand. This isn't just about stats or tendencies. It's about identity. The Bears have to decide right now what kind of defense they want to be. Are they going to keep letting opposing backs run wild? Or are they finally going to draw a line in the sand and say, not today? This is the moment. This is the test. And it starts with Ashton Gentry. Now let's talk about what this means in a practical sense for Sunday. The Bears can't just rely on 1 or 2 guys flying around to stop the run. This is going to take full team discipline, especially from the front 7. Linebackers have to fill gaps on time. Defensive linemen have to win at the point of attack. And maybe most importantly, everyone has to wrap up. Because Gentry isn't the kind of back you bring down with an arm tackle. If you go high or hesitate, he's going to lower that shoulder and drive right through you. That's his entire playing style. Physical, violent, relentless. He thrives in chaos, and the Bears need to make sure the only chaos on Sunday is the one they're creating on defense. This is where a guy like Tremaine Edmonds becomes so important. He's got the size, the speed, the instincts, but this is a game where leadership matters just as much as athleticism. The entire unit has to be on the same page. It's not just about stopping Gentry on the first few drives. It's about staying locked in for 4 quarters. Because a lot of times, backs like this don't wear you down with highlight runs early. They grind. They keep chipping away until the defense slips for 1 second, and suddenly they're ripping off a 25-yard gain. It's about patience. It's about discipline. It's about not giving him that one opening he's been waiting for. The Bears coaching staff has talked about improving their run defense since the offseason. They've added pieces, adjusted schemes, and emphasized physicality. But the numbers so far tell the truth. 5.5 yards per carry allowed is not going to cut it. Not against any team, and especially not against a Raiders offense that's desperate to find balance. The formula is simple for them. Establish the run early with Gentry, protect Geno Smith, and use play action to take deep shots. That's how they want to play. That's how they've been built. If Chicago lets them do that, it's going to be a long afternoon. And make no mistake, this Raiders team is coming into this game hungry. They're also sitting at 1-2. They know how critical this game is. A win brings momentum. A loss starts creating questions inside the locker room. Same goes for the Bears. So there's no room for mental lapses. This is the kind of game where every play matters. Every missed tackle, every blown assignment, it all adds up. And those little mistakes? That's where guys like Ashton Gentry take advantage. If you're Chicago, the goal is to make the Raiders one-dimensional. Force them to throw. Not just in obvious third and longs, but on early downs too. That means stacking the box, trusting your corners, and daring Geno Smith to beat you over the top. You do that by putting the clamps on Gentry. Take away their rhythm, and you take away their confidence. And look, it's not just the physical side of it. It's mental. Defenses start pressing when they can't stop the run. Linebackers start creeping forward. Safeties start guessing. Suddenly, guys are out of position, and one missed gap turns into a big gain. The Bears have to stay mentally sharp. Trust the scheme. Trust each other. Don't overpursue. Don't try to do too much. Because that's exactly when things fall apart. But here's the silver lining. This is a winnable matchup. The Raiders' offensive line, while talented in spots, has not been consistent. Aside from Colton Miller, none of the starters have shown they can dominate up front. And if Chicago's front four can generate push, even just slow down the line, it's going to throw off the Raiders' timing. It's going to put Gentry in tough spots, make him hesitate, and give the linebackers a chance to rally and clean things up. One thing that's been clear watching Gentry's tape is that he's still adjusting to the speed and complexity of NFL defenses. Sometimes he hesitates. Sometimes he misses the right cut. And when that happens, the defense has to capitalize. You can't let a young running back off the hook. Make him pay for every mistake. Turn those hesitation steps into tackles for loss. Force 2nd and 12s instead of 2nd and 6s. That's how you control the pace of the game. And if you get Gentry in check early, you put pressure on Geno Smith to carry the load. And while he's capable of that in stretches, it's not the recipe the Raiders want to follow. Geno's already shown he's willing to take risks. And when you pressure him, he starts to gamble. Last week, he forced multiple throws under duress. One of them turned into a costly interception in the red zone. Another missed badly and could have been picked. That's who Geno is, aggressive but not always precise. So the Bears have a real opportunity here. You stop the run, you earn the right to tee off on the quarterback. That opens the door for your pass rush. That lets your secondary sit on routes. That creates turnover chances. And in a game where both teams are desperate for a win, a single turnover can swing everything. The good news is Chicago's defense showed last week they can deliver in those moments. For takeaways, impact plays, guys flying to the football, that's the kind of energy they need to bring again. But none of that happens if Gentry is allowed to get comfortable. You let him run wild, and suddenly the pressure flips. Now Geno's got play action. Now the Bears are guessing. That's how games get out of hand. So this is it. This is the challenge. Ashton Gentry is looking for a breakout game. He's got the tools. He's got the power. He's got the chip on his shoulder. But it's up to the Bears defense to make sure this isn't his moment. You take him out of the game plan, and you take away the Raiders' best shot at finding balance. Everything starts there. Everything hinges on number 25. And honestly, this is the kind of game that defines a defense. Not flashy, not full of highlight plays, but physical, gritty. Every snap a battle, every yard earned. The Bears don't need to shut out the Raiders. They don't need a perfect game, but they need to be tougher. They need to send a message that they're not going to be pushed around anymore, especially on the ground. Because once you prove you can stop the run, you shift the identity of your team. You become the aggressor. You control the tempo. And that's exactly what the Bears have to do if they want to walk away with a win on Sunday. Keep Ashton Gentry in check, and you've already won half the battle. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a shocking development that could shake the NFL landscape, whispers from inside the league suggest that Detroit Lions star running back DeAndre Swift has reportedly made it clear he will no longer play alongside quarterback MONANGAI. Sources close to the team hint that tensions between Swift and MONANGAI have been simmering for months, and according to insiders, Swift has had enough. While no official statement has been released by either party, the rumor mill is buzzing, and social media is already ablaze with speculation. Fans first noticed subtle signs of friction during practice sessions earlier this season. Swift, known for his dynamic style and explosive plays, has always been vocal about his desire for a cohesive offensive strategy. MONANGAI, a young quarterback with a reputation for being stubborn and headstrong, may have clashed with Swift's approach on the field. According to some reports, disagreements over play calling and offensive schemes have reached a point where Swift allegedly refuses to share the backfield with MONANGAI, a situation that could have major implications for the Lions' upcoming season. While team management has remained tight-lipped, insiders claim that internal meetings have been tense, with coaches scrambling to keep the situation under control. If the rumor proves true, the Lions may face difficult decisions regarding trades, restructuring the roster, or even exploring potential quarterback replacements. NFL analysts are already speculating on possible destinations for Swift should he seek a move. Teams in need of a top-tier running back might be circling, sensing an opportunity to acquire one of the league's most electrifying offensive weapons. Of course, at this stage, everything remains speculative. Neither Swift nor MONANGAI has publicly commented, and the Lions organization has refused to address the reports directly. Still, the buzz in locker rooms across the league suggests that players and insiders alike are watching this story closely. Could this be the start of a major shakeup in Detroit, or is it merely another chapter in the ongoing drama of professional football personalities? Only time will tell, but for now, fans can't help but speculate. The backfield feud may be the story that defines this season before it even begins. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.